Welcome to lifestyle. And you're like, what are you talking about, lifestyle? Well, most people call it retirement, or we look at the things around retirement. But I said, well, lots of my colleagues don't really want to retire, or have already retired, or never actually are going to have the opportunity to retire because they're not in a job. So let's not talk about retirement. Let's talk about lifestyle. And what is that lifestyle that you want to have, and how do we fund it? That sounds a lot more enjoyable than putting money away here in Canada into our RRSPs, or in the US, you're putting money into your 401ks, and you're putting all this money aside, and you have no idea how much do I need, and what am I going to do with it? That doesn't sound like it's going to encourage you to put money aside. So let's look at it the opposite, or at the back end, and say, what's that lifestyle you want? What are the goals, dreams, the big things that you want to do? And let's figure out how much it's going to cost, and then let's figure out how much you're going to need, and then let's figure out how you're going to get there. That sounds like a much better plan from my point of view than let's go to the bank and put some money into an RSP and hope that the government doesn't take a big chunk of it away from you. And will I have enough? Or what happens if between now and then, between now and when I'm 65, what if I need some money? So lifestyle it is. And let's get ready for the first lecture on lifestyle. So the first step we need to do is around your cash flow. But cash flow is a big thing, so let's break it down into pieces, manageable bites. So let's talk about monthly expenses. So what are your monthly expenses today? Do you know what you're spending on a monthly basis? If you don't know what you're spending, how are we going to know how much you're going to need? So in this section, there's going to be a downloadable file for you, and it's going to look at cash flow. And a section in that cash flow piece is looking at your monthly expenses. So how much is your mortgage? Do you have a mortgage, or is it rent? How much is your car payment? How much are you spending on cell phones, food, travel? What are all those monthly expenses? Once we have that number, then we take that total number, and guess what we have to add to it? Inflation. Do you know what inflation is? I hope you know what inflation is, or else we got to go back to, we should have started back a few steps ago. But really quickly, inflation, it's the price that a dollar is today is not a dollar tomorrow, and definitely is not a dollar in 5 years. So over the course of time, stuff, expenses go up. It costs, gasoline goes up, electricity goes up. So what we figure out is we take out what your costs are today, and we're going to index it for the future. So let's use an example. For example, if my monthly expenses total up to about $8,000, my mortgage payment, my car payment, my internet, food, clothing, entertainment, roughly about $8,000 today. Now I say when I retire, but remember, we're not going to talk about retirement. So I say, well, if later on in life, say when I'm 65, around the time of retirement, what do I need to live on? So I said, well, hopefully by then I don't have a mortgage. So let's say I don't need that mortgage piece, and maybe I don't need the new car, or whatever the living expenses that I incur today that I'm not going to incur later on, like kids. I don't have, hopefully by the time I'm 65, my kids aren't going to still be wanting an allowance or paying for their education. So if I take that total of $8,000, I only need a percentage of that for the future. So let's say maybe $5,000. So now I need $5,000 to live on later on. And I say, well, and how many years? But let's not make it too complicated. Let's just go back to monthly expenses, and let's work off that worksheet to say, so your homework is do the download, and let's figure out what those monthly expenses are, and that's your starting point. Don't get overwhelmed. It's a starting point, and it's something that we can work on as you go. So let's start this month. It's a great opportunity. Don't worry about what you've done in the past. Just start keeping track this month of your monthly expenses, put it into the worksheet, and let's see where it is. Remember, you can always come back to this course at a later time as well and move through the next steps. But the key is to take action and start now by figuring out how much do you spend on a monthly basis. Okay, we got through monthly expenses, so congratulations. I know it was somewhat painful because no one actually wants to look at how much they're spending. We want to worry about how much we're earning. But guess what? A dollar saved is actually worth more than a dollar earned because we have the tax man. But that's for another section. Right now, we're talking about compound interest. And hopefully we're going to get you, or not hopefully, we're actually going to get you on the positive side of compound interest, because compound interest can work two ways. On the positive side, on your investment, but also on the negative side if you're borrowing, specifically on credit cards. Credit card, your interest compounds, and that can be really messy. But let's keep it simple. Let's keep focused. Compound interest, because we're talking about lifestyle, we're going to talk about the positive effects of compound interest. So bear with me. I'm going to actually use my note page here just so I get this right, because I only want to be able to do this once. So maybe if you do have that pen and paper or that pencil and paper, maybe you want to draw this, but I also have a little image that you could download and look at the image, but you can actually draw it yourself. It's not that hard. So we're going to take a person at the age of 25. I know you may not be 25, but let's work with me. Let's assume that if you were to have met me when you were 25, here we are today. So you're 25 years old and you have $1,000. Actually, let me make a note. That's why I'm looking at my notes. You have $2,500 a year. So $2,500 a year you're going to put into an investment at the age of 25 until you reach the age of 65. And I'll do the math for you since I'm the accountant. So $2,500 a year for 40 years gives me $100,000. So my initial investment over the course of that time was $100,000. Now let's assume an interest rate of 4%. I know it sounds a little bit technical, and I'm not sure if I can, and 4% sounds low, but stay with me. You'll see the benefits of compound interest. $100,000, 40 years, 4%. What's that give me? $250,000. Hey, that's a pretty good number. So my initial investment went from $100,000 to $250,000. Pretty good. Now, what happens if actually you're my age? So in March, I actually will be 45 years old. So at 45, say I didn't start putting money in when I was 25, I'm going to start when I'm 45. Here's what happens. Instead of the 2,500, I have to put in 5,000. Double. So from 45 to 65, now instead of 40 years, I only have 20 years. $5,000, 20 years, same 100,000. So my cost to me was 100 and my cost to me is 100. Same number. However, now at the age of 65, I don't have 250,000, I only have $150,000. Ouch. $100,000 difference. Double. And that's compound interest. So, like I say to my clients, start early, finish strong. Second option, start today. The best day to start was yesterday. Next best day to start is today. And that's how you can take advantage of compound interest. It's the time that money grows, money interest on interest on interest. And there's a really quick calculation for this, and it's called the rule of 72. The rule of 72, what's that? It's like, I am an accountant. You don't need to be an accountant, but the plain and simple thing for the rule of 72 is you take 72, divide by the interest rate, and that's how many years it takes your money to double. Let's use an example. 72, and say my interest rate was 9%. I know you're saying, geez, where do you get 9% today? I'm not sure. I have no guarantees on where you get 9%, but let's just use it as an example. 72 divided by 9 equals 8. 8 years, your money will double. So if I put my $100,000 of money in lump sum, 9%, 8 years, $200,000. And that's the rule of 72. Okay, thanks for staying with me. I know that was a little bit more technical and some calculations. And again, there'll be a download where you can see the nice little picture, because some of us can learn by listening and some of us learn by reading or looking at it. And pictures, you know what they say, tell 1,000 words. So I can speak 1,000 words, or you can look at a picture. Fortunately for you, and you taking this course, you get both. Lifestyle. And what is that lifestyle that you want? We talked about it, and like I said, you can use lifestyle. Some people use retirement. And it's like, what is that? How much money do you need? And remember, what we looked at was first was knowing what your monthly expenses were. That's the key, because if I don't know how much I'm spending today, I don't know how much I need for tomorrow. So the key here for lifestyle is identifying how much you're spending today, and the second step was how much do I need in the future? What is it that you want in the future? And what is that lifestyle that you want? Do you want to, be on the beaches, 2 houses, extra cars? It's going to cost you more. Do you want a simpler life around, essentialism or the minimalist? If I live a minimalist lifestyle, I don't need that much money, and therefore I can actually reach that lifestyle a lot faster than the person that wants all of the, the luxury. Or start early and have both. It's not an and/or world. You can have both. Why not? You've taken the first step on taking this course, and my goal is to get you to the end and be in the 2% club.